As I settled onto the swing, I observed a spider meticulously crafting its intricate web. The sun lingered on the horizon, mere minutes from heralding the dawn of a new day. The spider had made its home at the base of the children's slide in the community park. The movement oscillated across the threshold of the slide's exit, nearly 4 inches in height and 18 inches in width. A remarkable feat of engineering. The finished web captivated my attention. A remarkable masterpiece crafted in a single evening. Isn't it incredible what can be achieved when you eliminate the spreadsheet enthusiasts from a project? The initial child descending the slide would evaluate the spider's craftsmanship. A plan is essential. The spider indeed did. He just needed it to succeed once to enjoy a life of luxury forever. Perhaps his plan wasn't entirely foolproof. But, without taking risks, there are no rewards. I'm cheering for you, my friend. My scheme is just as absurd as yours, yet I have a scheme as well. Only the spiders and crickets listen to my words. Today marked the beginning of my plan, as it was Monday. If everything unfolded as intended, we would soon witness the final domino tumble on a night not far off. I am Ethan Cole. Soon after graduating from the University of Michigan, I tied the knot with Madison. We both secured jobs in the outskirts of Detroit. Our past is rather uneventful and dull. College students often connect with one another, explore different relationships, and ultimately return to their original bonds. My insecurities often pull me into the realm of jealousy. I can be quite difficult with Madison. If I disapprove of her attire or behavior in public, I call her out, occasionally in front of others. She definitely understands my perspective. We engaged in a deep discussion about actions and their repercussions. Despite my flaws, Madison chose to marry me. Everything's fine, isn't it? I long for that. Madison and I are passionate about pistol shooting. We have completed every single course. The courses on defensive pistol use, the foundational NRA basic pistol course, and the necessary training to obtain a concealed carry permit. We hold shooting tournaments at the indoor range. Madison has claimed the Annie Oakley Award, recognizing her as the top female shooter on multiple occasions. I'm decent, but I can't compare to her level of skill. The suburbs of Detroit offer a variety of excellent places to call home. There are a few instances where I find some comfort in knowing she is equipped and skilled. We continue to go to numerous games, including football, basketball, and baseball. During high school, I participated in all 3 sports, but I dedicated myself to my studies when I entered college. Well, that and the reality that I don't possess the necessary skills to compete at the collegiate level. Last Thursday, Ryan Carter pounded his fist onto his desk. Oh dear, it seems like the journey home will stretch on endlessly. I straightened and faced him. What makes you so sure of that, Ryan Carter? He pointed towards his screen. I'm observing the traffic camera positioned at the intersection of Highway 7 and 82. A pickup truck lies on its side, while a car is overturned on its roof. I seriously doubt that's going to be open tonight. This is something you must witness. I strolled along the corridor from my workspace to Ryan Carter's, my eyes drawn to the display on his notebook. I felt a tightness in my stomach. Madison stood with the paramedics, her skull wrapped in gauze. At the very least, I believe it's her. Her left arm is adorned with a striking tattoo that extends from shoulder to wrist. The individuals on the camera appeared somewhat too diminutive to validate my doubts. It seems that her flight to Chicago departed without her yesterday. The overturned truck was something I recognized well. I simply couldn't find the right words for it. I inched nearer to the screen. Could you capture some images of that crash? Ryan Carter acknowledged with a nod, his gaze fixed on the monitor. Just until I switch cameras. I have the ability to save the video from the moment I began watching this cam. Snapshots can be created from it. What piques your curiosity? I gazed at the ruins, an odd feeling of recognition washing over me. That truck seems familiar to me. I must delve into my memory, but I am certain I possess the knowledge. Ryan Carter recorded the video and sent it to my email. Upon closer inspection of the frame, I'm fairly certain that's Madison. The conversation we had last night was utterly absurd. The flight was quite ordinary. The room is pleasant. The meetings were successful. I miss you. Tomorrow will be hectic. I have a late flight, so please don't stay up for me. My mind wandered aimlessly during the drive home. What sort of fool have I been made to appear? What is it about that truck that feels familiar to me? I examined the entire cast of characters, close friends, family, neighbors, yet found not a single hint of a match. The truck's blue and yellow stripes lingered in my mind. Who might that be? Madison's call arrived at approximately 7 p.m. I allowed it to transition to messages. "Hello, darling. I have some unfortunate news. My ride to the airport was involved in an accident. I'm doing all right, though I did end up with a gash across my forehead. To cut a long story short, I ended up missing my flight. I'll inform you as soon as I have the information. Adore you. Reach out to me." Ever since I laid eyes on that picture, my heart has been in a constant state of exhilaration. The utter betrayal has my stomach churning and fire erupting from my ears. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't bring myself to eat. The emotions unraveling were overwhelming me. Upon coming to terms with the fact that my marriage was a facade, I felt a burning desire for retribution against both Madison and her paramour. I dedicated the following hours to exploring the house. Searching for something elusive, yet being unaware of what it was, proved to be quite vexing. Seething anger drove my quest. Nothing piqued my interest. I proceeded to review our credit card statements. Given that Madison travels at least twice a month, I suspected there must be some sort of oversight in her purchases. In a way, I was correct, verifying her journeys against her credit card transactions. Every other month, one of the journeys involved no use of a credit card. During those journeys, the sole expense was the parking fee at the airport. She utilizes her business credit card for purchasing tickets, booking hotels, and arranging rides. All other expenses are charged to her personal card, and she files an expense report. I'm expected to accept that she either paid in cash or simply skipped meals during those trips. Based on what I observed on the traffic cam, I was well aware she was embarking on a 2-day romantic escapade disguised as a getaway. I needed to discover with whom. Well, that's an obvious choice. I will request a copy of the traffic accident report. Madison maintains a filing cabinet to organize her essential documents. I found myself contemplating whether her expense account submissions were tucked away in that pile. Her organization skills are impressive. It took just a few minutes to find the right folder. Just one more minute to verify that the trips made without using a credit card were not reflected in her expense account. I felt the urge to indulge, yet I recognized the wisdom in restraint. Is the duration of this situation significant? No, not at all. Her betrayal is one of chilling calculation. My retribution will be meticulously shaped to reflect the magnitude of her betrayal. I will approach the divorce with fairness. What options are available to me? She will receive her half. Is a prenuptial agreement necessary? Indeed, that's quite the notion. I long for that. She will receive her half. Slumber arrived at a leisurely pace, and the coffee seemed to take its sweet time to rev up my morning. Upon activating my phone, I discovered a message from Madison indicating that she would return home later today. I went to work without trying to reach out to her. After exploring various sources for guidance on divorce, I assessed our shared financial accounts. I need to open an account solely in my name. The brokerage account was set to present some challenges. I couldn't shift positions, so I sold enough to hit the 50% threshold. I would return once those matters have settled and withdraw my share when the moment is appropriate. The house was practically submerged, rendering any action unnecessary. I chose to keep my thoughts to myself, refraining from discussing my impending divorce with friends, family, or colleagues. During lunch, I obtained a copy of the police report regarding the accident. There's no question about it anymore. There she is identified as the injured passenger in the pickup truck. The name of the truck's owner, Ray Stronzo, was unfamiliar to me. It continued to perplex me how I believed I could identify that ridiculous truck. At least I possessed an address for where her lover resided. It was just 3 blocks away from our home. An online search swiftly yielded the deed for the specified address. Loverboy had a commanding presence alongside Jill Stronzo. I would assume that is his spouse. Some other websites I came across provided personal details about both Ray and Jill. It appears that both of them went to the same high school as Madison. When Madison called near quitting time, I thought it best to answer. Otherwise, she'd sensed something was off. "Welcome back. I've been attempting to reach you since last night." "Is everything all right?" she inquired. "I'm getting by." This morning, I discovered my phone was powered off, and the same happened again around lunchtime. I suppose it's time to bring it in and have it examined. "How did your journey go?" "Everything was going smoothly until the cab ride. I'll need to layer on the makeup to conceal this cut on my forehead." "How about inviting a girl out for dinner?" she inquired. "Absolutely, somewhere bright. My appetite is quite limited. Select a location and I will rendezvous with you there." I chose the scenic route to the restaurant. As I passed the Stronzo residence, I noticed the absence of the truck parked out front. A flag hung from the porch, providing a subtle hint. A flag representing the University of Michigan. This is the vehicle we spot while tailgating at the Michigan football games in Ann Arbor. The truck features blue and yellow stripes for that very reason. We consistently gather in the same spot for tailgating, and the Stronzos followed suit. I simply thought he and his wife were cordial with everyone. During dinner, I made an effort. I truly did. Yet, Madison sensed that something was amiss. "Is there anything weighing on your mind, Ethan? It appears that your focus is elsewhere this evening. So much to ponder," I said. "Don't let it get to you." As Madison began her nightly routine of taking off her makeup, I slipped into bed and pretended to be asleep. Madison slipped into bed, her bare skin warm against the sheets as she snuggled in. All I needed was to envision her treachery, and I felt utterly powerless. She gave me a slight shake, but ultimately withdrew her affectionate approach. Madison lay peacefully in slumber as I departed for work in the early hours of the day. I rummaged through her car and discovered a cell phone concealed within the back seat cushions. Turning it on and browsing through the messages confirmed my decision. Madison and Ray have been entangled in a conflict for months, if not longer. One piece in particular drove me to the brink. "All right, everyone, I'm uncertain about what your consequences will be. However, a cost will need to be reckoned with. I am not a man of violence. I can't envision myself taking any physical action against either of them." It called for a bit of imaginative thought. I concluded that scheduling a meeting with a lawyer would undermine the strategy I envisioned. I was utterly unprepared when she confessed to her affair. Should my scheme succeed, I would need to move swiftly to safeguard whatever I can. I gathered my essentials and dedicated the weekend to steering clear of Madison. She yearned for intimacy on Saturday, yet it turned into a mere routine of me mounting, dismounting, and swiftly drifting into slumber. Madison made another attempt. On Sunday night, I clung to the memory of her betrayal, and it left me feeling uninspired. Exasperated, she surrendered, and we slipped into slumber. On Monday morning, I rose early and took some time to enjoy the park. I had to ensure that this was the direction I truly wished to pursue. Reflecting on that text message led me to move forward. From Madison's viewpoint, I believed I had everything managed until that phone call came in. Monday mornings are consistently bustling at the office. I manage multiple calls each hour. I answered the call as soon as my office phone rang. The caller ID displayed as private. Meet Madison. "I understand your intentions with Ray. I want to be part of the excitement." The soft voice belonged to a man. The voice possessed an irritatingly high nasal tone. He hung up before I had the chance to reply. Thoughts were swirling rapidly in my head. Well, it seems my secret is out. The remainder of the day and that evening felt like a blur, as if I had stepped outside of myself. One of our evening rituals involves savoring a warm cup of tea. It appears to bring a sense of calm to both of us. Ethan consistently resolves it right before the night settles in. Ethan appeared troubled. "Are you really all right? It seems like something is weighing on your mind this evening." "I'm doing well. There are a few things at work that are really frustrating me. I must consider different matters. Do you have any suggestions for activities that could engage a girl for some time?" I reached the decision that I would not succumb to blackmail. I will hold off to observe the reaction. I was haunted by the thought of Ethan discovering the truth. Engaging in self-reflection led me to the decision to end my relationship with Ray. "Meet Madison." The familiar voice responded once again. "Are you prepared to satisfy my desires?" "No, I am not," I responded, and this time I ended the call. Barely a minute passed before another call arrived. "This is Madison," I replied. "Both of you make quite the racket while you sleep. Last night, you donned a blue teddy. The right side of the bed is where you find your rest. You chose to forego undergarments, which allowed me to capture a lovely image of your figure." I wonder if he noticed my gasp as he ended the call following his declaration. I dashed down the corridor and heaved into the nearest available stall. A small envelope was pinned under my windshield wiper when I discovered my car after work. For half an hour, tears streamed down my face as I gazed at the image of my body captured last night. He found himself in my bedroom. I experienced a deep sense of violation. What have I gotten myself into? That evening at home, I occupied myself with settling bills and arranging items for tax preparation. What clever method did he use to slip in under the cover of darkness? Is this someone who knows Ray? Could this be an adversary of Ray? That voice is unfamiliar to me. I would recall that bothersome noise. Ethan, do you believe we could install a latch on the exterior doors? I inquired. I suppose that's the case. What prompts you to mention that? He responded. I've come across some unsettling news about recent home break-ins. I prefer not to have anyone entering our home while we're present, I responded. I'll add it to the list of tasks to tackle. I didn't have a restful night. The slightest creak from the house sent a jolt of surprise through me. Mornings were a challenge for me to embrace fully. My nightmare resumed all too quickly. A new call arrived. This is Shauna, I responded. The voice I had been fearing responded. Had a lovely set of pajamas last night. No body shot for me. Are you prepared to be my beloved lady? May I ask who you are? What is it that you desire? I inquired. I believe you understand my desires. Have you ever experimented with restraints? Shall we meet at your location or mine? He responded. Why don't you come over to my place, if you're up for it? I will create a gaping wound in your chest, as large as a tennis ball. I let out a powerful roar. Silence lingered in the air. I requested and was granted a 2-hour lunch break. I found myself in disarray. Whom can I seek out? I have concealed my relationship with Ray from all. That doesn't seem correct, does it? Everyone but at least one stalker. Ethan and I shared a moment of closeness once more. Now I'm curious if he possesses some insight. He's not behaving as if it, especially since we no longer share intimacy. Perhaps it's been quite a while since we last shared an intimate moment. I've been so focused on my connection with Ray that I suppose I might have neglected my home love life. The lack of sleep is beginning to weigh heavily on me. Ethan, I believe I'm starting to feel unwell. I'll be sleeping in the guest bedroom to ensure you have it all to yourself. No, I'll manage with my own strength. The firmness of the guest bedroom's bed appeals to me. I'll rest there, he replied. Ethan, I've been experiencing some unsettling dreams. I plan to have my firearm close by during the night. Announce your presence loudly before entering the bedroom. Absolutely, I'll take care of it. I don't need anyone pulling a fast one on me. Why don't I install a locking handle on the bedroom door? I'll add it to the list of tasks to tackle. Rest well. Now, I'm truly curious if Ethan possesses some hidden knowledge. What's this sleep tight thing all about? He consistently concluded his good nights with an affectionate, love you. When was the last time I heard those words of affection? Once Ethan retreated to the guest bedroom, I positioned a chair firmly against my bedroom door. I placed a few small treasures on the windowsill and tucked my firearm beneath Ethan's pillow. Hopefully, if my stalker appears tonight, he'll create enough commotion to rouse me, and I'll retaliate decisively. A new call arrived. This is Madison, I responded. Well, I stopped by, but I don't notice any hole in my chest. Charming little treasures. I selected a handful of them. With Ethan in the other bedroom, perhaps I could slip him something, and then we could enjoy ourselves together. The headboard will be perfectly suitable for the restraints. He ended the call before I had a chance to respond. I hurried home for lunch, only to find that 3 of the trinkets had vanished. I retched into my own toilet. What on earth have I gotten myself into? If I approach the authorities, Ethan will discover my secret relationship. What options are available to me? I need to share this with someone. I refuse to be treated like a mere plaything for someone else's amusement. Ray wanted to meet up this evening, but I declined. I possess a burner phone that I store in my car, and I utilize it to connect with Ray. I mentioned that we should take a break for the time being. His writings revealed his dissatisfaction with that choice. I'm uncertain whether my stalker tracked me down by shadowing Ray. Fear and confusion envelop me. Should I simply go ahead and submit to him? Where does it conclude? Perhaps I ought to confide in Ethan and seek his assistance. My lackluster performance at work has caught the attention of my immediate supervisor. I received the usual motivational speech. That is incredibly awkward. I haven't required one in the past. As I made my way to his office, I sensed the stares and caught the sound of quiet laughter behind me. For an hour, tears streamed down my face as I waited for Ethan to return home. I tidied up and applied a touch of fresh makeup before heading out to dinner with him. Once I adorned the window and door with some bells, a sense of security washed over me. Go ahead and attempt to slip in now, you creep. On Friday morning, I made a concerted effort to maximize my productivity. That moment was fleeting, lasting only until his call came through. "This is Madison," I replied. "What a lovely detail with the bells. You had me concerned for a moment, but you were completely oblivious to it all. I noticed that I emptied your handgun and placed the bullets on the windowsill. I have also returned your trinkets. Are you prepared now? I'm in need of Ethan. I cannot tackle this by myself. I might have to face this on my own regardless of what I say to him. What a disaster. I can hardly wait for the weekend to arrive. At least he won't have the chance to torment me in the workplace. What if he has something in mind for me this weekend? I wasn't feeling up for closeness, and Ethan seemed quite content to keep his distance. With a trip planned for next Wednesday, I was uncertain whether to go through with it or call it off. When is that scoundrel planning to come for me? Is he unwell enough to trail me on the road? Ethan lay in a deep slumber as I wrapped up my shower on that Saturday morning. He always wakes up early. I shook him persistently until he slowly began to awaken. He sat up, his expression a mix of surprise and confusion as he gazed at me. "Wow, I really feel disconnected today. Could you please tell me the current time?" Nearly 9. "How are you feeling today?" I responded. He winced as he rubbed his neck. "What on earth?" "I have a tender area on my neck." I noticed a spider bite or something, akin to it on his neck. "It seems you've been bitten. Allow me to fetch a patch for you." The remainder of the morning unfolded with the usual weekend tasks. Ethan ventured out for a refreshing Jamba Juice during the midday hour. The sound of my cell phone ringing broke the silence, and the caller ID displayed as private. I took it upon myself to answer the calls my mother had hidden away. "Greetings," I have responded. "Last night I experimented with my tranquilizer dart on Ethan. It appears he's still with us, so I believe we're all set to proceed. I'll bring some lubricant for you." I reached the conclusion. I felt a tremor coursing through me, my legs unsteady beneath me. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't hold back my stomach. I used up half a can of deodorizer to completely mask the signs. I need to inform Ethan. This is becoming unsustainable for me. I can't share that with Ethan. I find myself in a state of confusion. What was I thinking when I made this choice? My mind was in a whirl. What's the point of all this drama? A glimpse into the closeness of monkeys. It lacks the essence of love. Honestly, Ray was never particularly impressive, even back in high school. What on earth was I thinking to ever get involved with him? Sunday proved to be just as disappointing as Saturday. With each ring of my phone, I could feel my heart racing. Upon picking up the private call, he was there once more. Ethan toiled away in the backyard, focused on the mower. "Greetings," I have responded. "The time has come, Madison. When you find yourself by yourself again, you belong to me." The link was severed before I had a chance to reply. I found myself drenched in perspiration, my body trembling uncontrollably. Eventually, I will find myself alone in the house. This situation is becoming unbearable. The hours crept by. I found myself anxiously glancing at the clock. I was reluctant to drift off to sleep tonight. Just before bedtime, everything I knew was upended. I need to head back to the office. "I won't be away for more than 90 minutes, Ethan replied. "Kindly stay, Ethan." "Is it possible to postpone this until the morning?" I inquired. "I won't be away for too long. Catch you later." I ensured that every door and window was securely locked. Once I had shut the bedroom door and activated the bells, I settled onto my bed with the lights illuminating the space. Retrieving the firearm from beneath the pillow, I inspected the magazine and verified it was fully loaded. My heart raced as the floor let out a haunting creak. Panic took hold. I hesitated, aiming my weapon at the door and window. As the doorbell chimed, I took my shot. I heard a groan and pulled the trigger repeatedly, again and again. The door creaked ajar, revealing a figure clad in black, sprawled lifelessly on the floor. I felt a shiver run through me as I glanced down, realizing I had wet the bed. I struggled to use my cell phone because my hands were shaking so much. 911, how can I assist you today? I just fired a shot in my home. I have a firearm pointed at the figure. I feel hesitant to approach it. Please remain composed, ma'am. Could you please share your address with me? 5 minutes later, though it felt like an eternity, the first squad car finally pulled up. Shortly thereafter, the ambulance pulled up, accompanied by a team of paramedics. In just half an hour, the area was teeming with law enforcement. I desired Ethan. I required Ethan. Where on earth is Ethan? In our state, there exists a law that allows individuals to take action for their own protection. Unwelcome visitor in your abode? Eliminate them as you deem appropriate. If the intruder met their end, it was a straightforward matter. The paramedic sprang into action, swiftly transporting the man to the hospital. Despite losing a significant amount of blood, he was still clinging to life. From Ethan's perspective, I informed Madison that I was on my way to the office. Upon entering the garage, I donned latex gloves. I discovered Madison's burner phone in her car, took a screenshot of the text that angered me, and then forwarded it to Ray. It remained the same as what she had sent a few months prior. The time sent mirrored the previous instance almost perfectly. I returned her phone to the spot where I discovered it. I drove down the street, anticipating the moment when her bedroom light would be the sole beacon in the darkness. I waited just a few minutes. I strolled back and unlatched the front door. I hurried along and arrived at my office shortly after. There are numerous security cameras in place, and I require my access card to pass through the gate, enter the building, and finally reach my office. I powered up my computer, yet found myself lost in thought. Could it truly be effective? After formulating my strategy, I acquired a burner phone and installed the voice disguise app. That first night at home, I could feel the tension in Madison's actions. Each evening, I would blend a tranquilizer into her steaming cup of tea. Once she hit the ground, she was completely unconscious. On that initial evening, I adjusted her position to capture a pleasing angle of her form. I produced it using our printer. The urgency in her voice on day 2 was precisely what I anticipated. Each night, she was completely out, allowing me to create plenty of noise without her noticing. On Friday night, I rose from my slumber at approximately 3 a.m. and employed a safety pin to create a small puncture in the back of my neck. As soon as I noticed the blood, I disposed of the safety pin. With 3 sleeping pills, I drifted off swiftly. I reflected on the text from a few months back that I had sent again not long ago. He has just departed for the office. Come here, darling, for a little affection. Time is of the essence. I estimated that I would be heading home in about an hour, or when I received a call from the police. 1 hour signified the failure of the plan. The police would signify achievement. A call arrived on my mobile from my local government. "This is Ethan," I replied. "Mr. Follett, who might this be?" I inquired. "Greetings, this is Sergeant Willis. A shooting has occurred at your residence. Your wife is safe, though she is quite shaken up. Can you return home and provide her with some comfort? I'm en route. I'll arrive in about 10 minutes. Isn't it wonderful when everything falls into place?" I returned home to discover the neighborhood awash in a sea of red and blue flashing lights. Stealthily maneuvering around the guards, I made my way into my home. Shauna sprang up when she caught sight of me. She enveloped me in a tight embrace, her tears flowing freely. Detective Sampson took a seat opposite Shauna and me. She continued to sob and tremble. "Mrs. Foley, the intruder's name is Ray Stronzo. Are you familiar with him?" "Oh dear, not that. Oh dear. I deeply apologize, Ethan. Oh dear," and began to weep without restraint. "I apologize, Detective. My wife is clearly upset about this entire situation. Allow her a moment to gather her thoughts. Okay, let's give this another shot. It seems you are familiar with Ray Stronzo. Is that accurate?" In a gentle murmur, we shared our high school days. At that moment, an officer gently tapped Detective Sampson on the shoulder and leaned in to whisper something in his ear. He rose from his seat and exited the room for a brief moment. I put in every effort to appear astonished when he came back and began speaking. "Mrs. Foley, I must bring you in for questioning. Officer, kindly place her in handcuffs. Shauna Foley, you possess the privilege to maintain your silence." Once Miranda wrapped up, I inquired, "What's happening, Detective?" His cell phone has been located. She extended an invitation to him for this evening. "There's some sleuthing ahead of us. What on earth is going on, you deceitful woman?" "Ethan, I absolutely did not do that. I beg you, stay. Your presence is essential to me. Kindly." I marched out of the house, resolute and unyielding, not glancing over my shoulder. I struggled to suppress a grin. I stood in the driveway, observing as they took Shauna away. She continued to implore, "Help me, Ethan. I beg you to help me." "Absolutely not. Eventually, they will discover your phone and the message you sent inviting Ray to visit." I ensured that the house was securely locked once the yellow tape was set up. I spent the night at a motel. In the early hours, I picked up a sizable decaf and made my way to the park. It seemed my tiny arachnid companion was making another attempt. Keep the faith, my friend. Even the wildest schemes hold the potential for success. Shauna made the most of her one call by bringing her parents into the situation. The authorities obtained a search warrant and discovered Shauna's burner phone. The history of those burner phones exchanging messages painted a troubling picture for Shauna. The initial step I took was to initiate divorce proceedings. Financial matters were recognized and recorded. Shauna would receive her 50%, but I was not obligated to cover her legal fees for the attempted first-degree murder charge. I withdrew half of the funds in cash from our shared accounts. I established an account solely in my name and redirected my payroll direct deposit to that account. Opening the brokerage account was straightforward since half of the funds were already in cash. The divorce attorney initiated the process before Ray took any legal steps. He reassured me that it was a positive development. After the yellow tape was taken down, I gathered all of Shauna's things and delivered them to her parents' home. I enlisted experts to tidy up the home. My lawyer was by my side during the sole interrogation that the police requested my presence for. She was trying to persuade them that I had orchestrated her downfall. That was the only thing that resonated with her, as she explained to them that she had not sent that last text message. Upon inquiry about the cell tower data related to her phones, they confirmed possession of such information, which aligned with my account and reinforced their belief that she was a calculated criminal. It seems that Annie Oakley struggles when faced with high-stress situations. Merely 2 of the 5 bullets had found their mark. A hole was torn, leading to the destruction of a kidney. The other bit into his right ear. I suppose I can accept that, even though I was expecting greater results from all that pistol training. I observed from the gallery as she presented her argument. She found herself under constant watch, yet remained silent, burdened by the weight of her secret liaison. She didn't send that message. It seems my husband was aware and has set me up. The media discovered that a plea bargain had been extended to her. It seems her excessive self-assurance in managing the situation has led her astray once more. Condemned. 2 decades. I didn't hold off on exploring new connections until the divorce was finalized. Numerous organizations are ready to support the embarrassed husband, while the wife is incarcerated. Madison's resources dwindled swiftly in her battle for liberation. I wasn't liable, and even if Ray attempted to take legal action, there were no shared assets of considerable worth. It seemed illogical to spend excessively for a moral win, so no legal action ever came to fruition. I truly require assistance in managing the issue of jealousy. Thus, we have arrived at the conclusion of today's narrative. Did it align with your expectations, or did it veer off in an unexpected direction? I would love to know what you think. Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's spark a discussion. If this tale captivated your attention, be sure to give that like button a tap. If you're new to our space or haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now is the ideal moment to become part of our community. Discover new and engaging tales each day. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and enable notifications to stay updated on all the latest. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to our next encounter.